Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Blitz, your weekly high school football show covering all things football in Lorain County, brought to you by First Federal Savings of Lorain. As always, I'm Marissa McNeese from the Chronicle Telegram, back with my partner behind the camera, Kristen Bauer, and we have our first playoff edition of The Blitz this week. That's right, our 6-week regular season has come and gone just like that, but the good news is, due to the change in all the rules this season, all of our Lorain County teams are playing at least one round of the playoffs this season. But before we get into all of that, we have a pretty good week 6 we need to recap before we look ahead to the first week of the playoffs. So let's get to it. Now, first up this week on the Blitz from week 6, we have to talk about a team we haven't really mentioned that much this season. Unfortunately, they've had some struggles, not just this season, the past couple seasons, but first off, we have to mention the Vermillion Sailors, a big 50-24 win over Willard this week in the final week of the regular season. Not to mention, it snaps a 16-game losing streak for the Sailors, and they had a couple big performances. Justin Wagner carried the ball 13 times, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Not to mention Ben Reaney, 10 carries, 76 yards, and a pair of touchdowns of his own. Now, it was also a pretty big game because the Sailors went up so big, they get the running clock going, and it's the first time the Sailors have had a running clock in their favor, according to Mike Perry, who was at the game since August 31st, 2018, in a 56-13 win over Brookside. So not only has it been a while since the Sailors picked up a win, but they had a big win, a running clock the first time in a couple years. So we had to mention the Sailors, a huge win, a nice way to cap off the regular season at least as they head into their first week of the postseason. Now, with the end of the regular season comes the crowning of conference champions. In Lorain County, we had a couple teams wrap up their conference titles in week 6. Both of these teams had won at least a share of their conference in week 5, but they get the job done the final week of the regular season. And this week, we're going to start off with the Avon Eagles, who won big 49-8 over Midview, winning their 5th straight Southwestern Conference championship. It's a school record, the first time in school history the team has won or shared at least 5 straight conference championships. And of course, another huge performance from quarterback Nico Pappas, who didn't even play the whole first half. He finishes a perfect 9 for 9, 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the win keeps Avon a perfect 6-0 heading into the playoffs. They're the number 1 seed in their region, and unfortunately the loss for Midview drops them to 1-5 heading into the first week of the playoffs. Our other conference champion is a team you've heard me talk a lot about this season, you've read a lot about in the Chronicle Telegram, but rightfully so. It's a team that finished last season and picked up right back where they started to win their 2nd straight Lorain County League championship. That's right, the Keystone Wildcats, 42-14 over a good Wellington team to win their 2nd straight Lorain County League champion. They're so far the only Lorain County League champions, as last year was the first season of the league. They upped their regular season winning streak to 15 games, arguably one of the hotter teams heading into the playoffs, the Keystone Wildcats. And what more can be said about Gideon Lampron that hasn't already been said? But I'm going to try. Another huge performance, 27 carries, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he finishes the regular season with 15 total touchdowns. And remember, that's just 6 games. That's not our normal 10 games. 15 touchdowns in 6 games, an incredible year for the junior. And it wasn't just on offense. Keystone picked up where they left off against Firelands, a big defensive performance that week, and again, forcing 4 turnovers against Wellington to continue the momentum as they head into the playoffs. Now, with all their success this season, the Wildcats have earned themselves a first-round bye in this year's playoffs and are no doubt going to come well-rested and ready to go come next week when they have their first playoff game. Now, let's recap the rest of week 6 in Lorain County. Firelands 51-0 over Oberlin, bouncing back from that tough loss to Keystone just a week before. We have Amherst 53-14 over North Olmsted, Euclid 42-20 over Elyria, Columbia beating Brookside 31-0, Black River 40-14 over Clearview. Back to the Southwest Conference, Avon Lake a big 38-3 win over Olmsted Falls. Those two teams right there at the top, right behind Avon in that conference. So a huge win for the Shoremen. And finally, Berea Mid-Park, 54-14 over North Ridgeville. All right, it's that time. Our first Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. Another week where it was pretty easy for me to decide. We had to give it to the team I mentioned right off the top, the Vermillion Sailors, getting a huge win over Willard, snapping that 16-game losing streak. Coach Brett Colohan said after the game how happy he was for his team, the players, the whole program, and what a huge weight lifted off the shoulders of everyone over there in Vermillion football. A huge win for the program, a happy, positive way to end the regular season. No matter what happens in the postseason, they snapped that losing streak in a big way over in Vermillion, and that's why the Sailors are this week's first Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. All right, that's it for week 6, the regular season. It's time to talk playoff football. It's here, and like I said, for the first time, because of the pandemic, because of the redrawn regions and all the rules, any team that wanted to participate in the postseason was eligible, and all of our Lorain County teams decided to opt in. So we've got a big slate of playoff football coming up this week. Let's start off with our 4 Lorain County teams who earned themselves first round byes this season. We have, of course, the number 1 seed in Division II, Region 6, the Avon Eagles, who will in week 2 of the postseason face the winner of North Olmsted Midview. Avon Lake, the number 3 seed in that same region, they will face the winner of Wadsworth Westlake. Now down in Division 4, the Keystone Wildcats, of course, the number 4 seed in Division 4, Region 14, the Wildcats will face the winner of Edison Clear Fork. And finally, our last team with a first round bye, Elyria Catholic, the number 4 seed in Division 5, Region 18, will be facing the winner of Oak Harbor Chippewa in week 2 of the postseason. So for everyone else in Lorain County this week, we have playoff football. So let's go ahead and break it down. First, we have to talk about the big game happening right here this Saturday. Of course, when we hit the postseason, we have games Friday and Saturday. And this Saturday, we have Black River taking on Columbia right here. It's a huge game. 2 Lorain County League teams who actually did not meet this regular season, of course, with the shortened season, but 2 teams that finished right there in the top half of that conference. Both teams finished on a winning streak. Columbia, after starting 0-2, won their last 4 games in a row, and Black River also the winner of 3 straight. It's obviously a huge game for both teams this first week of the postseason, but to see how they're going to stack up in the newly drawn Region 21 of Division 6 in this first round. Here's where the rest of your teams are playing this week. Upper Sandusky traveling to Firelands. We have Wellington playing at Mineral Ridge, Oberlin at Brookfield, Brookside traveling to Clyde. We have Clearview at Bryan, Vermillion going to Ontario, North Royalton coming to Amherst, Midview at North Olmsted, and finally North Ridgeville traveling to Toledo St. Francis in the first week of the playoffs. All right, with 2 straight days of high school football, you have 2 days worth of games to listen to on WEOL. We're going to start off with our Friday night games on the radio on WEOL and Stream 1 on WEOL.com. You can hear Midview taking on North Olmsted. On Stream 2, North Royalton at Amherst, and our Medina County matchup this week is Massillon Jackson traveling to Brunswick. And you can hear all of that on WEOL.com. Now, Saturday, we have our big game I mentioned already, Black River coming here to Columbia. You can hear that on the radio and Stream 1 on WEOL.com, and on Stream 2, Upper Sandusky at Firelands. That'll do it for the regular season of high school football. We're heading into the playoffs, and as long as we're playing football, we'll be here to bring you all the action. For myself, Marissa McNeese of the Chronicle Telegram, my partner, Kristen Bauer, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.